It would pick today to rain, thought Venice, looking out the window into the early morning rain. Everybody talks about the weather, but nobody does anything about it. Who said that? Somebody famous. Abraham Lincoln? Or maybe Benjamin Franklin? Andrew Venice impatiently pushed the question out of his mind. He was the kind of man who did things, not thought about them. And today was the day... well, he had his plans. The rain was coming down in steady bucketfuls. Not the gentle kind of summer rain that maketh the little flowers to grow, but a drenching, cold Georgia rain that nobody in his right mind would go out in if they had any sense, or for that matter, choice in the matter. The rain didn't look like it was going to stop anytime soon either. Andrew Venice shrugged his manly shoulders. He had his plans, and he wasn't going to let a little bad weather stop him from doing what a man had made up his mind to do. He had no doubt at all about that. Neither did anyone who'd had anything to do with him, especially the scum who ran afoul of him in the course of his police work. Some people might think that at the age of 40, he might be getting on in years, but nobody who had anything to do with Andrew Venice was going to have any question about his manliness.
That's what I like about Margaret,
he told himself.
She knows a good thing when she sees it and knows enough to grab onto it and not let go. With a body like that, a man could get used to being grabbed onto.
He chuckled to himself. He turned away from the window. Time was a-wasting. He was a man with a plan, and he knew just what he wanted. Time to go ahead and just do it.
Do it.
Margaret studied her pretty face in the circular magnifying mirror above her makeup table. She hadn't slept well last night, and, to her practiced eye at least, it showed. Just her luck to be called on for an extra shift in the ER on a night when the heavy rain had caused twice the usual number of accidents. She'd had to cancel her plans for the evening, a night at the movies with Jocelyn. They'd planned on seeing the latest Eddie Murphy comedy at the Grand. That Murphy always made her laugh uproariously, which was the best remedy for a set of nerves frayed by the sight of too much blood and too many hopelessly fractured bodies. Instead, she'd had a full dose of exactly what she'd wanted to escape. The movie would have been fun, but deep down inside she knew that it wasn't what she really wanted either. She looked deep into her own peerless eyes, and an enigmatic smile blossomed upon her ruby jaws. She'd almost turned Jocelyn down, hoping for a call from him. She had a hunch, all right. Any nurse worth her salt knew when to trust hunches like that. After all, she was a woman first and a nurse second. The smile broadened and went to her eyes, crinkling her nose as it went past, like a parked car sideswiped by a passing delivery truck.
Well, Maggie, baby, there'll be plenty of time for more movies, and plenty of time for the other two,
she told her smiling reflection silently. Plenty of time. The doorbell buzzed, startling her seemingly as loudly as if a rousing basketball game had just come to its dramatic final conclusion. Margaret Eastman stood almost unconsciously glancing down at her voluptuous body, clad only in a flimsy peignoir. Could it be? Could it? Yes! Her woman's intuition told her, yes! Yes! She rushed to the door, undulating provocatively as she strode impetuously across the deeply carpeted floor. Heedless of consequences, she flung the door open, and there he stood, a tempting vision of manhood even in a dripping Burberry. A checked slouch hat protected his hair, as she might have noticed if she had had sufficient time for such a minute observation. Behind him, the pelting Georgia rain poured down, cruel and relentless as the sands of time.
"Come in at once," she cried. "You must not be seen here."
Out on the sidewalk behind him, the pedestrians of Atlanta strolled by idly, little noting nor likely long to remember the tempestuous passions coming to a rolling boil only a few feet away form their languid gazes.
"I care not a rap who sees us,"
growled Andrew Venice, for it was, as any astute reader must by now have guessed, none other than he who had so impetuously rung her bell.
"I am here to carry you away with me."
"Quickly, inside!" she repeated. Grasping his lapels and impelling him through the door, she pushed it shut behind her and turned to fix him with her sultry gaze, leaning voluptuously back against the paneled door she had just that moment closed.
"I cannot believe that you are here at last," she hissed. "I had thought—" "Believe it, baby!"
muttered Venice, tossing aside his hat. The raincoats followed, then his jacket and tie, his belt, his undershirt. They fell to the deeply carpeted floor, pawing one another like impassioned mammals.
"You and me, baby, ain't nothing but mammals, so let's do it like they do on the Discovery Channel."
"Oh!" she moaned. "Andrew, I never thought." "Don't think, baby,"
he said with a nuance at once manly and indescribably tender. His hands moved surely. For a while, they said nothing. Then soft murmurs broke from Margaret's lips. They built inevitably under his expertly administered caresses to a crescendo of moans, and then the sky exploded around them both. Afterwards, Andrew Venice lit a matched pair of cigarettes and gave one to his exhausted but still visibly an eager lover.
"I have come," he said softly, "to take you away with me. Margaret, you hot little nurse, I can hardly wait to wake you all my own. Where do you want to go to get married?"
Trembling with delight, she thought a moment, then sighed.
"Memphis, of course." "I want to be married by Elvis." "Elvis?" Venice pouted. "Won't that be easier in Vegas? I know a couple of chapels there. They got the big Cadillac and everything."
She shook her head, her short hair falling for a moment in front of her peerless eyes.
"No, darling. It must be as close as possible to Graceland. It wouldn't be real anywhere else. And then—"
she gave him a coy smile.
"Then you can love me tender." "Perfect!" he exclaimed. "Let me make a phone call. I ought to be able to get us there in time to get married before supper. And there's a great rib joint on Beale Street, if you feel like eating, that is."
He leered and patted her buttock.
"Do you know somebody at the airline?"
She was already on her feet, thinking about what to pack. Did she have anything white to wear? Then she realized it didn't matter. She was going to be married in Memphis! It was a dream come true.
"Even better, baby."
He blew a smoke ring, then continued.
"Here's where being a cop comes in handy. I got me a punk dope smuggler by the short hairs. He's got a private jet. He owes me big time. Now's my chance to call in a big favor. No waiting in long airport security lines for my little Maggie." "Oh, Andrew, you think of everything,"
said Margaret. She turned around and looked at him, lying naked on her deep carpet. Her enigmatic smile returned as she stepped forward.
"Say, I just thought of something myself."
She knelt beside him and gave a shake of her medium short brown hair.
"Do you need to make that phone call now? Or can it wait just a little longer?" "Get me started, it'll be a lot longer, baby."
He grimaced, but she lowered her voluptuous body to the carpet next to him, and soon they were both moaning again. It was a long time before he remembered to call his smuggler friend. Their pilot turned out to be a slimly built black man wearing a neatly trimmed mustache and goatee and a peaked cap. He reminded Margaret of an African-American version of Nikolai Lenin. When she stepped out of Venice's car onto the tarmac next to the smuggler's Learjet, the pilot looked her up and down in obvious appreciation. "I got to say, you sure know how to pick 'em, Mr. Man," he said with a throaty whistle.
Did you ever doubt it?
Said Venice, putting a protective arm around Margaret's shoulder.
Maggie, this pilot is Cooter Bill Delacroix, and there ain't a slicker pilot outside the Air Force, especially when he's carrying contraband, which I've got reason to believe is most of the time.
"Pleased to make your acquaintance, ma'am," said the pilot, tipping his cap ceremoniously. "Now, why don't you two lovebirds get on board so as we can get up in the air and I can get this big old cop to Memphis and off into my bick?"
And bring home a plane load of coke, and I don't mean the drinking kind,
said Venice.
"Well, I reckon I'll be too busy to stop you this time. Just remember, I've got the goods on you, Cooter! Treat me right or you'll regret it."
"I surely do know that, Mr. Man," said Cooter Bill. They climbed aboard his plane with him trailing behind them. It seemed only a matter of moments as he ran through his takeoff checklist, got clearance from the tower, and soon they were winging west through the gorgeous sunshine, on their way to Memphis. And marriage.
Walking in Memphis, was walking with my feet 10 feet off a Beatum. Walking in Memphis, but do I really feel the way I feel? Walking in Memphis.
As always, the Mutant Museum would like to extend its gratitude towards its amazing Patreon supporters, particularly Zanazira, Michael Fattori, and Break System BSE. Thank you for watching, and thanks for being you.